Well, happy, beautiful, amazing day. Dr. Bob Rakowski here, Blue Diamond out of Houston, Texas, with this week's edition of the Conversation on Success. And I'm thrilled to share with you the success system that never fails. That may sound like a very bold statement, but Clement did one heck of a job with this system, became a multimillionaire. And in fact, if we put his wealth in today's numbers, he would have been a billionaire while helping thousands of others to have a much better life. And I think most of us would agree that that would be a fantastic life to create. We're going to start with some simple definitions, and sometimes it can be easier to define something by its opposite. So how about this? Failure is not the opposite of success. It's actually part of success. And very, very simply, I like this statement. Failure are quite simply the falls that we will take on our road to success. Keep in mind, if you're pushing your limits, you're going to fall occasionally, not literally, but in a sense, figuratively, fall short of where you are attempting to go. And I love this quote from the founder of IBM. And here's what he said: the fastest way to succeed is to double your rate of failure. Now, keep in mind, you want to learn from those failures. And as John Maxwell would say, fail early, fail fast, fail forward. Now, why would he ask you to fail early? Well, come on, you've got to stretch yourself in order to fail. You might take a step in the wrong direction. If you get feedback from that failure, it can certainly move you in a better direction. And finally, I'll go with Churchill and his definition of success. Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. And then we'll go with more practical and I think more complete and even more valuable definitions of success. Earl Nightingale talked about success being the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Now, why think about that for just a moment? Wouldn't it make sense to really pursue something that is worthwhile? And not just pursue it, but really dive in, give your all, and achieve all that you can. And then I'll go with John Wooden, the greatest coach of the entire last century, according to ESPN. He called success the peace of mind that you actually get from the self-satisfaction of knowing that you did your absolute best. Now, keep in mind, your best should get better every single day, because if we're growing, we should get better, stronger, faster, and smarter. And now we're going to talk about an interesting quality that virtually guarantees success. So this was an interesting article. Science proves that this boring quality, no, it's not exciting. In fact, a lot of success can be kind of mundane. You don't have to feel mundane while you do it. You can actually, have a wonderful attitude no matter what you do. And that, by the way, was probably one of Clement Stone's greatest attributes. He developed this positive mental attitude. In fact, he even wrote another book, Success Through the Positive Mental Attitude. But this is something that if we apply ourselves, we can all learn it. And that is quite simply the principle of delayed gratification. So the now very, very famous marshmallow test, they took kids, I think they were 6 years old. They put them in a room with a marshmallow on a plate in front of them and said, look, we're going to go away for a little while. We'll come back. And if you haven't ate the marshmallow yet, we will give you 2. Now, interesting videos where you watch these kids just trying to distract themselves in every way. And then you see a bunch of kids just giving in and having the marshmallow. But those that could delay their gratification, essentially their entire life got better. Better in college aptitude scores, better body mass, better brain scans, better educational success, and essentially every part of their life is better. And I think it was Zig Ziglar that said success entails or requires that we delay what we want right now for what we want overall. So, think about that with the marshmallow. If you're going to eat a ton of marshmallows, do you want health, happiness, and success, a fit body? You're probably not going to eat too many marshmallows if you want a fit body. Put it off till you get fit, and then maybe have one if you think you still want it. So we're going to talk about compounding for a moment, because Einstein called this the 8th wonder of the world. And very, very simply, the choices that we make eventually add up quite a bit. Now, the graphic here is from actually Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect. And he talked about three friends, three guys that were high school buddies. They were on the same basketball team and they met maybe at their 10-year reunion. And they were all sitting around saying, you know what? Those were glory days. Remember when we were fit? Remember when we were healthy? Remember when we could just run around all day? And they realized they were far from that. And one guy said, you know what? I want to get that back. I'm going to start training. I'm going to work out a couple days a week. I'm going to get guidance on nutrition and other aspects of my life. And the second guy was kind of content on his path, so he stayed on there. The third guy said, you know what? I'm not having enough fun. I'm going to take up wine tasting, dessert baking, all kinds of stuff like that. Well, when they got together at the next reunion, the guy that decided to get back into his playing shape he was fit and happy and strong and successful. The guy that stayed on the same path, well, he was kind of on the same path, the path of decline. And the guy that made bad choices, well, guess what? He was divorced. He was 100 pounds overweight. He was clinically depressed, and he was looking for a job. So keep in mind that absolutely everything compounds. So simple example here. This is Gwyneth Paltrow as she appears on the left. On the right, she's wearing a suit for the movie Shallow Hal. And this, over the course of 10 years, could be just one Tabata a day, 4 minutes of intense exercise, and one slice of bread a day in either direction. Don't have the Tabata, eat the bread, you can gain 100 pounds, or don't eat the bread, do the Tabata, you could lose 100 pounds. That's the magic of time and compounding. And then most of us know about the penny example. If I give you a penny day one of a 31-day month and say, okay, you know what, I'll double it every single day. Keep in mind, that when you're halfway through, you don't have much money at all, $163. Whereas at the end of the month, you have 10 million. So think about those people that double every other day. Instead of the 15th day, the 30th day, they've got that $163. So not much, but those that were consistent, when that takes off, it really takes off. And I'm going to suggest that nearly every aspect of our life can compound with the right system. And one of those systems is the success system that never fails. So now let's define a system. I like this from Mark Victor Hansen. Remember, he and Jack Canfield started the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And he said very simply, a system is something that will save yourself time, energy, and money. Instead of the yourself with YS, I like to say save yourself stress, time, energy, and money, because the right system can do that. Eric Worre, one of my great mentors, I've been in a mastermind with him now for 5 years, and hundreds of others from all over the world that are really doing quite well. He says a system, you have one that works when everybody knows it, everybody does it, and it works. That would be a system. And when people look at this system, they want to say, you know what, this looks relatively simple. I think it'll work. I think I can do it. Now you get people to buy into your system, which, by the way, could lead to epic success. Now, I love this quote, and I'm going to tweak it a little bit with one from Zig Ziglar as we go on. But keep in mind, everything has a price, including both success and failure. Choose either one and be prepared to pay the price. And that's where some that have said that failure is much more expensive than success, because clearly you pay for that for the rest of your life, as opposed to enjoying it for the rest of your life. So good story. Alden Mills, he created the perfect push-up. He was a Navy SEAL. He was the leader of his group when he was in basic training. And he talked about day one, they were marched in front of this frogman. And basically, he's got a sign on himself that says, do you want to be a frogman? Are you willing to pay the price is really the question. So this drill sergeant took him in front of the frogman. He says, come on, gather around. He says, you want to be a frogman? You want to really know what it takes? He says, come closer, come closer. And he says, they were like kids getting around the campfire. They wanted to know, this guy that was a successful SEAL, what wisdom was he going to share? And very, very simply, he says, look, we're going to put you through more than you've ever been through in your absolute entire life. They're Hell Week. I think it's a week, 168 hours to get 3 or 4 hours sleep. And they are pushed to every limit that you could possibly be pushed, such that at least 80% of them drop out. And keep in mind, you got to be pretty qualified anyways, even to get into this SEAL training. And Brian Tracy said this: the price of success must be paid in full in advance. So what about these Navy SEALs? They quite simply just had to pay that price every single day and essentially work together, become a team, take care of one another, have each other's back. And a very powerful quote from Eric Worre: becoming rich is hard. Staying broke is hard. Choose your hard. Very, very powerful, very, very blunt for some people. You know what? Have I ever been destitute? No. Have I not had a lot of money? Yeah, for the majority of my life. And when I didn't have it, I wanted to find ways to make more. And what I've got to tell you, having abundance, having enough to share, having enough to invest in yourself and others, that's a pretty good place to be. And here's what Zig Ziglar says: you don't pay the price for success, you pay the price for failure. You actually enjoy the benefits of success. So success is an investment that pays. Failure is a price that you pay. I'm going to get back to W. Clement Stone, but I'm going to share wisdom from Les Brown. Les Brown says, if you're going to listen to someone, know these answers. Who are you? By the way, who am I? I'm a guy that has been successful in a lot of different ways. Enjoy a beautiful life, health, happiness, and success, I think by almost anyone's measure. And how have I gotten there? From learning from great people and plugging into great systems and applying constant improvement. So Les says, who are you? Who's W. Clement Stone? What does he have to offer? And why in the world should anybody listen to his wisdom? So this guy literally started with $100 investment. And by the way, he earned that. His first sales job was as a paper boy. He would go into restaurants and sell, even though he wasn't allowed to do it at age 5 or 6 years old. And he got kicked out multiple times, but since he was selling papers, he went back and back. And finally, after about the 4th time being kicked out one day, one patron went to the owner of the restaurant and says, leave him alone. He's just a kid trying to make a living. And by the way, he's making our day better. And so he realized he could sell papers there every single day. By the way, W. Clement Stone, when he started selling life insurance, he said, why don't I try to find a way that I can sell multiples at once instead of just one? And his best day, he sold, I think, over 140 policies. I don't know if you've ever sold life insurance. I hadn't sold that, but 140 anything in a given day, and that's a high ticket item. That's amazing. So this guy has something we want to listen to. He ultimately partnered with Napoleon Hill. And Jack Canfield said that he was his top first mentor that really led him to health, happiness, and success. And by the way, W. Clement Stone was in foster homes. His father died when he was 3. His mother, very hard time taking care of him. So he had that challenging childhood, and then he learned principles, he learned good behavior, and he learned to work hard. And those carried him to over 100 years. He lived to be over 100 years old, health, happiness, and success. And he gave away over $200 million of his fortune to other people. So he got it. He shared it. I'm going to call that a really good life. So what is his success system? First is inspiration to action. Second is know-how. I'm going to use the terminology skills. Third is activity knowledge. I'm going to call that earned mastery. And we'll break down each of those individually. So Tony Robbins says this: in our lives, we're going to either need inspiration or desperation. And then Zig said this: people often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So I'm going to contrast for a moment inspiration and desperation. Inspiration and motivation. Motivation is momentary. Someone pushes your buttons, gets you going. It's from the external, and it pushes you to do something. But again, like Zig said, doesn't last. So you need to get it frequently or be self-motivated. And the best way to be self-motivated is to actually be inspired. That's something that's going to endure. It's going to last. It comes from within you. It's a higher calling, and it pulls or draws or leads you to the actions and activities you want to create your better life. So this quote is very powerful. I've certainly seen this before. When you're desperate, when your back's against the wall, when you have nowhere to go, it's either do or die. You're probably going to do, right? Or if you've ever been in that circumstance, you're still here. You did it. You didn't die. But desperation, definitely more powerful than inspiration. And sometimes they even refer to it as the gift of desperation, because it may just be what you need to change your actions, to grow, to get better, to improve. But Thoreau said this. He said, most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Now, think about that. Are people generally desperate? I'm going to say now, maybe more than ever. And I don't wish that on anybody, but here's the good news. There is a way out of it, many ways out of it. And we may have one that could be really, really good for you. And now Sadhguru, love his wisdom. He says, if a man is hungry, he has one problem. If his belly is full, he has thousands of problems. So, you know what? If you're after one thing, if you're that hungry, you're going to keep going. You're going to stay focused. You're going to get it done until that hunger is satisfied. And Les Brown, one of the greatest speakers of all time. Here's my best imitation of Les. You gotta be hungry. And he said that with so much passion, so much commitment. He would just draw you in with his storytellings and his story, from someone who was considered the dumb twin, essentially on the verge of being mentally retarded, into one of life's greatest presenters. What a beautiful story. And they give this one to anonymous. I wish it was given to someone else. If you have a big enough why, the hows take care of themselves. So I show this woman with this baby there in the mountains of Tibet because there was a story, of this tribe that was kind of at the base of the mountain. And some huntsmen came down from the mountain dwellers, and they kidnapped a woman's baby. The whole village was upset. So they trained a band of soldiers to go up the mountain and get this baby. Now, the mountains were very, very treacherous. It was going to take a lot of effort to climb it. And this band of soldiers was climbing, fighting, struggling, and not making much progress at all, just stuck and moving. And as they're stuck, they're kind of sitting down and going, what do we do now? And they look in the distance up the mountain and they see the woman walking down with her baby. And they looked at her and they said, how in the world did you do that? We're stuck here. And she said, it's simple. It's my baby. I love my baby more than life. I'll find a way. I found a way, right? And she saved her baby. So wonderful story, wonderful point. If you have a big enough why, the hows take care of themselves. And what about the evolution of the why or the progression of the why? I really like Patrick Bet-David. I think he's a great thinker. He's a great rags to riches guy. By the way, like W. Clement Stone, he made hundreds of millions selling life insurance, but he did it like Art Williams did in the network marketing model. So Art Williams, a billionaire, either Patrick Bet-David is there or getting very, very close. But he talked about his own evolution of his own why. Number one is survival, right? If you're hungry for food, literally, if you don't have any, you're going to find a way to get some. Then after you have that need met, you're going to go for status. He says you want the car, you want the house, you want the nice clothes. I don't know if everybody wants that. Listen, he has them all. That's beautiful. What's your version of that? Maybe it's other things that you want that give you your level of status. Maybe it's investing in your education. Maybe it's, pursuing your athletics, whatever it is, right? You want that level of status. Then freedom. How about time freedom, money freedom, location freedom? And by the way, he created all of that, through his network marketing model. And how did he do it? He helped thousands achieve that. And then finally, purpose. It's fascinating that he puts that one at the end. Ultimately, Maslow would talk about this being transformation, or self-actualization. Ultimately, what are we all here to do? Well, my mentors say we all have the same purpose. We're here to show up as our best and getting better self in service to something bigger than yourself. So let's now go into know-how. Interesting study here out of Harvard and the Carnegie Foundation. Basically, 85% of your success, they say, comes from well-developed soft skills and people skills. Some would actually call that emotional intelligence. So your people skills, your ability to get along, your ability to show up, your ability to make a good impression, your ability to find out what the person needs, your ability to help them achieve that, those are the things that are going to help you to create your best life. And by the way, in terms of network marketing, I did a nice training. Eric Worre was part of it. Paul Zane Pilsner was part of it on skills to pay the bills. You can find that on my YouTube channel, Eric Worre's YouTube channel. Check it out. I think you might like it. But these were the skills, and W. Clement Stone kept it real simple. He was phenomenal at selling. He was phenomenal at recruiting, and he was phenomenal at training. And that is a winning triad. And I would suggest probably in that order. If you can sell, oh my gosh, you know what? You should never have to worry about money. If you can recruit, now you can multiply your efforts. And if you can train, oh, you can multiply them even faster. So Grant Cardone wrote this book, Sell to Survive. He wrote a lot of books. If you see his picture on the cover, a younger Grant Cardone, you know, fantastic story. He was actually a drug addict that nearly got killed by his habit and said, I got to change this around. And instead of being addicted to drugs, he became addicted to the euphoria that he got from success. So notice what he said. The ability to sell others is as critical as to your success as food, water, and oxygen is to life. Every person on this planet is required to sell others on their ideas to advance themselves and their goals. And I've certainly found that to be true. So he was in the documentary or the reality series Undercover Billionaire. He was dropped off at a town. He had only $100 cash. That was it. No credit cards. He did not have any contacts in his phone. And by the way, he had an old truck. So $100, 90 days. He not only had to survive, he had to thrive and create $1 million business. Well, he not only created $1 million business, he created a $5 million business. And there he is on the street with a sign, basically marketing, selling, getting attention. He does say money follows attention. How are you going to get attention? And by the way, I might suggest that there's lots of ways to do it. Nothing wrong with taking a sign and spinning it, but why not attract it in a way which is wholesome and nourishing and serving? Let's just say there are people that attract attention with things that I consider less than noble, whether it's fear or whether it's, you know, some type of illicit promise, whatever it is. Take the high road. The high road always wins. So Daniel Pink's book, To Sell is Human, here's what he says. Like it or not, we're all in sales. He says now, but maybe we've always been in sales. So now, what's my favorite definition of sales? Earning the right to make a recommendation. Now, someone might say, wait a minute, you need to have a transaction. You need to, you know, trade money for product or something of equal value. But I believe that if you earn the right to make a recommendation, if it's right for the person, they're going to follow it. And if the product is right for them, they're going to enjoy it. And if the opportunity is right for them and you present it in the right way, guess what? They might join you and help make your dreams come true. But the new ABCs of sales, very, very simply, attunement will define that, buoyancy will define that, and clarity. All of these things are absolutely critical. So some of you may have heard of this concept of harmonic resonance. Here we take a tuning fork. If they're exactly matched, you vibrate one tuning fork, and that vibration triggers vibration of the other tuning fork. Now, keep in mind, if they're not in tune, you're not going to have that. Vibrate one key of a piano, another piano with the same key will also vibrate. This has been known for centuries, at least at this point in time. So think about what Nikola Tesla said, one of the greatest minds ever, said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, I've got to tell you something. I like this idea of high vibration people. And, you know, I think you can be around people where you think their vibration is higher or more noble. But here's a fact. Medical science is absolutely in its infancy in measuring human energies, frequencies, and vibrations, even though I think most of us or many of us are now coming to the conclusion that, yeah, that is absolutely what it's all about. And one of the greatest researchers out there, Dr. Joe Dispenza, you know, he talks about heart coherence, brain coherence, and ultimately in the 1990s, a group called the Heart Math Institute looked at how our breathing, our heart rhythms, our brain rhythms, hormonal response, all in an ideal circumstance can become in sync with one another. Keep in mind, if everybody's on the same page, everybody is going to move in the same direction, get better faster. Now, you can have positive resonance there where everything's working together for the better, or the other direction where everything's working together for the worse. I think we all agree we want better in terms of health, happiness, and success. And a big shout out to my wonderful friend, Diane Solano, who is an outstanding success. But you know what? I had a conversation with Diane when she had the gift of desperation. She was desperate. She had to earn some money. And she had been to a Dr. Joe Dispenza seminar. And Dr. Joe said, Diane, listen, I know you're not where you want to be, but it's your responsibility. The choices that you have made have led you to here. You're going to have to start changing the choices that you make. And then even applied some stoic wisdom. Our inner work will show in our outer progress. And Diane went all in on inner work. And I do mean all in, meditating every single day, as far as I know, right? I'm not an accountability partner for that. But every time I talk to her, she's advancing her practice. And then finally had the money to go travel and attend multiple Dr. Joe seminars, multiple intensives, have her brain EEG tested, have her heart coherence tested, have her chemistry tested, and see how she can improve all of it. And by the way, how'd she get that money? She did the inner work first. She started adding value to people, helping them add value to others. And as Zig Ziglar said, we can have everything in life we want if we help enough other people get what we want. And if I showed you the after pictures, Diane on top of the world, enjoying the great life. Congratulations again. Thank you for being a wonderful example for all of us. Now, probably we've all heard this term, we're on the same wavelength. Yeah, your minds are matched. Your frequencies are there. You're ready to move in the same direction. And I've often heard this phrase when someone says, I like you, mostly what they're saying is, I am like you. At least we have some kind of harmonic resonance, something that makes both of us feel good. And how about this wonderful quote? We must establish a personal connection with each other, connection before content. Without relatedness, no work can occur. So it's all about the connections. Michael Gelb wrote a book called The Art of Connection, 7 different steps of how you create connection. And really, he was talking about life, because all of our life is all about connections. Fraser Brooks, an absolutely great mentor, he says we want to turn strangers into friends and turn friends into family. Great philosophy there. And then he says, by the way, once you've turned these strangers into friends, you're going to start collecting friends. Then you start collecting decisions. Hey, I've earned the right to make a recommendation. I want to make a recommendation. And for those that like it and continue on with it, well, then you're going to collect commissions. Buoyancy. This is all about staying afloat in a sea of rejection. Now, keep in mind, people are selling, they're going to get rejected. Even if you're sharing, believe it or not, you're going to get rejected. I've tried to share a few things with people, and guess what? They weren't into it. They didn't want it. But, would I take that personal? Nah. Why would I take it personal, right? We meet people where they are, and hopefully we move them to where they want to be. And if we have synergy, we go on that path together. And let's get some clarity. So King of Coffee, our hero product, I like that term, hero product. It's clearly a better choice. In fact, it won the award as the best organic coffee in the world in 2022, infused not only with reishi mushroom, but the purest organic, certified, clean, certified organic from the reishi spores, with a patented process where we have typically 6 to 7x the potency and delivery of our next closest competitor, and much, much, much more than that for many other competitors. Now, what happens when we put reishi in coffee? Well, there's 9 reasons to avoid coffee, for some people, right? Like having blood pressure, insomnia, jitters, unsmooth energy. Some people can have withdrawal. It can be challenges for pregnancy, etc. But when we add reishi to our coffee, all of these things go away. And I'm going to encourage you, screenshot this if you're watching the screen. and look up all those PubMeds. You're going to find out we're not making this up. This is proved by medical science. Over 3,500 studies on reishi, so many different health conditions, no known drug interaction, no known toxicity, and our coffee is delicious as opposed to some others. Well, they haven't improved the process yet. So some say that their coffees, others, taste like mushroom soup. Ours, gourmet, delicious, award-winning, best organic coffee in the world. So how about this advice? Sell the benefit, not your company or product. People buy results, not features. And I remember listening to a lecture about this now, and they talked about how many drill bits were sold in the US in a given year. And let's say there were millions of them. And they said other people that bought drill bits, most of them did not want a drill bit. But what they did want was a hole, the size that the drill bit would create. So they're looking for the result. And simple wisdom, people will not buy from you if they don't trust you, your product, or your company. So we always, always, always want to be building that trust. Now, I read a book on customer service years ago, and they said people buy two things, two and only two things: good feelings and solutions to problems. What if we could provide both? What if we gave them reishi-infused coffee? That give them good feeling because it's good for their brain, good for their body, good for their spirit. Alkalizes them, anti-inflammatory by over a dozen different mechanisms. And how about a solution? Maybe it helped them overcome a health challenge. Maybe it gave them more energy. Maybe they slept a little deeper. Maybe they were calmer and had better relationships. Maybe they wanted to partner with you to create a global business to earn, who knows, a fortune, millions, right? It's all potentially on the table. Ed Mylett, one of my favorites of all time. By the way, Ed Mylett made his fortune in network marketing, selling life insurance, just like Art Williams, just like Patrick Bet David. But what did he say was his number one skill? Well, I'm going to give it W. Clement Stone's number two, recruiting. And I might argue that, Ed needed to be a salesman before he could be a recruiter. When you're recruiting, you're just selling people on the opportunity. But Ed was absolutely and is absolutely amazing at it. So what about selling versus recruiting, addition versus multiplication? That's really what we're looking at. When you sell someone a product, your business grows by addition. When you recruit someone who's interested in growing your business, now you're going to build by multiplication. And one of Ed's big tips was you want to make sure that the dream that you're selling is so big that everybody else's dream could fit within it. So I want you to think about this. If we have a dream of actually capturing 1% of the global coffee market, 2.25 billion cups a day, I mean, that is an absolutely huge number, what 1% is of that. And I promise you, we could be rich beyond words if we just captured 1% of that epic market. Best dream seller of all time, I'd have to say, has to be Martin Luther King. I have a dream, so much passion, so much conviction, so much inspiration. He sold the dream. I bought it. A lot of other people bought it, and our world is better for it. And maybe we should get back to that. I don't know why, but lately some people are forgetting the magic that MLK shared. Instead of trying to unite all of us, trying to separate us or turn us against one another. If you haven't seen that, good for you. I hope you're in a world where everybody's getting along, everybody's loving one another, everybody's promoting one another, because that's really what it's all about. But I don't know. I get the impression that there's forces that don't want that. So let's honor MLK. Let's honor everybody for the quality of their character, not any other feature that they essentially had nothing to do with. And remember this dream: no dream is too big for coffee. You know what? This is a big enough pie for all of us to create our dream life and help thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even millions of others create their dream life. I love this interview with Eric Worre and Grant Cardone. Grant, again, is a master recruiter, and he's recruiting. And Eric Worre asked him, how do you find the right people? And Grant said, you don't find the right people, you find a lot of people. And what was the follow-up to that? Then the right people will self-identify and will emerge. I've got to tell you, I thought I found people that were the right people for what I wanted. And you know what? They weren't. Timing wasn't right for them. Something wasn't right. And then I found other people that, I just found them and I didn't have super high hopes, but oh my gosh, did they surprise me in beautiful ways? And let's keep that happening. No expectations, offer to everybody. For those it's right for, come on along. Let's build together. If it's not, hey, I love you anyways. Enjoy a better product. Enjoy the world's best organic coffee and the benefits that are associated with it. And then finally, training. And I love this quote from Henry Ford. He created mass production. He created systems. He said, the only thing worse than training your employees and having them leave is not training them and having them stay. So keep in mind, if we're training a team, if we're training a team of networkers and they leave, God bless them. That just meant something was more in line with what they wanted. And you know what? We still get the joy of having led them to better skills, better direction, better clarity on what they wanted. And Jim Rohn's wisdom, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's how the inner work will ultimately translate into outer results. Again, ancient wisdom. And here's this follow-up to that. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. Yeah, good for you. Make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And then that other statement, income seldom exceeds personal development. And then he said something like this, if someone gives you $1 million, you best become a millionaire quick, so that you know what to do with the money. Because let's face it, you give someone who's not a millionaire $1 million, they typically squander it in a very short period of time. That's really the facts of people who win the lottery. And then Bob Burg's wisdom, all things being equal, people will do business with or refer business to people they know, like, and trust. You want to create that good connection. You want to like each other and certainly trust each other. And then finally, there's activity knowledge, which is quite simply earned mastery. And I'll go with Aristotle. He said, what we have to learn to do, we learn by doing. If you're going to be great at selling, you got to go out and sell. And if you're not good at it, spend time with people that are selling. Some of the principles of sales are absolutely universal. I don't care what they're selling. Learn from a Grant Cardone. Learn from some of the older recordings of W. Clement Stone. Learn from the master salespeople and apply it to what you're doing. And by the way, one thing that W. Clement Stone would do his first day with most of his new recruits, he would go out in the field with them and he would actually make their first sale for them. Now, keep in mind, Eric Worre talks about, in network marketing, hey, listen, if you help someone earn just $1 in their first 30 days, that gives them a lot more, even quantifiable more sticking power than if they didn't earn that. And very, very simply, I love Eric AI. If you're not familiar with that, great website. Reach out to me. I can get you a link to that. But you literally, for a small fee, and I think it's like $10 a month, believe it or not, there's other fees for the site, but Eric AI, $10 a month, you get all the wisdom of 30 plus years of experience, one, succeeding in network marketing and then training people all over the world. But very, very simply, how important is it to help people earn money? I asked Eric AI that, and he says, look, help new team members earn $1 fast. 74% of those will still be in 6 months later if they earn that dollar in the first month, as opposed to if they didn't earn that dollar, 80% are going to leave. So staying power is all about helping people to succeed. And I promise you, we all can do that. We can help people make $1. And then we want to know the value of tools, and there's plenty of those. And Buckminster Fuller, one of the greatest thinkers of all time, he said, a fool with a tool, well, they're still a fool. So we don't want to be a fool. Just that simple. Mr. T, right? I pity the fool. Don't be a fool. Use a tool. Possibly the best tool ever, a sample, award-winning best organic coffee in the world with health benefits that, there's a significant number of people that are going to feel a significant difference the very first cup. I'm going to say it's about 10%. I've shared this with thousands of people, and about 1 in 10 say, oh my gosh, not only is that delicious, but something about it feels really, really good, or they know they have sustained energy, or suddenly mental clarity, or maybe even some pains went away quick. Whatever it is, how fascinating. And other people say, oh my gosh, I couldn't drink regular coffee because it was so bad on my gut. This I can. Ours is alkaline. Regular coffee makes my heart race. This one doesn't. That's how Manny Pacquiao became part of our global enterprise. So very, very powerful. Use the sample. And then what's the value of a three-way call? Hey, when you're new, you don't know much, or even until you're successful, you haven't maybe developed the level of skill that you need to. Put people on the phone with someone they can relate to that knows more than you do. Or a three-way Zoom, even better. You can FaceTime three-way. All this stuff is absolutely amazing, but there are plenty of resources out there for everyone. And, I speak for the leaders. If you're on our team, we want you to do this. We want you to set up three-way calls. We want you to tap into our expertise. We want you to grow. Or as Eric Worre said, the surest way to earn millions in network marketing is to help others earn millions. And we want to help you earn millions. So W. Clement Stone's success system that never fails. You've got to be inspired to action. You've got to develop the skills, and then you have to earn your mastery through doing the work and failing along the way. And remember, maybe twice as fast as you did before. And remember, failure is not the opposite of success. It's absolutely part of it. So as John Maxwell said, fail early, fail fast, fail forward. Remember, if you have a big enough why, the hows take care of themselves. Do you have something that you are willing to risk it all for to go in? And here's the beautiful thing. In our business, you don't have to risk hardly anything. $50. Come on. Maybe even less than that if you're really destitute, but you better be hungry if you're that far out. And there are people that have won with no money. Now, how'd they do that? They sold before they bought. They didn't have any inventory. They pre-sold. They went out and did that. You can do that. You can do it effectively if you have a big enough why. And remember, that which we must learn to do, we must learn by doing. In all of life, and especially in network marketing, we want to collect friends, collect decisions, and collect commissions. When you sell, you grow by addition. When you recruit, you grow by multiplication. And I'll go back to John Wooden. Success is peace of mind which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best you are capable of becoming, even though that should be better tomorrow. Remember, if we're not growing, we're dying. Let's grow consistently in all areas of our life. And from W. Clement Stone, regardless of what you are or what you have been, you can still become what you may want to be. I think that's one of the most powerful statements ever. I think most of us, according to our potential, we're in that caterpillar phase. Some of us are bigger caterpillars than others, but listen, we're barely scratching the surface of what we are capable of. And as always, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful. So good night, all, and God bless.